Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Real. We are here today, and we took a little time off. I know, probably missed us. Hopefully you did. But we have a new episode, and today is very special because we're going to be interviewing our own co-host today, and she's going to be talking all about being a loan officer. So how are you doing, Kelly? Did you have a good holiday?
I did. It was very nice. Long weekend. So how about you?
Yeah, good too. Had family over, so that's always good. So let's get into it. I know you're going to start up with the myth of the day, and you mentioned that this is very common misconception. So go ahead.
Yes, to be a mortgage loan originator, you do not need a college degree to be a loan originator. Now, I do have a college degree. I have a degree in BS in Business Management Administration. I think that having a college degree is a good thing when it comes to discipline in any work environment. I feel like that has definitely benefited me over the years. Now I've been out of college for 22 years now, so I have brought a lot of that with me. I remember my college days, and everybody should have that experience.
Yeah.
But no, you do not need a college degree to become a mortgage loan originator.
Awesome.
But what you do need to get started is you will need a high school diploma. You have to be 18 years of age, and you need to not have a criminal history. That's very, very important.
Yeah.
Because you do have to have a background check done in order to be a mortgage loan originator.
Gotcha.
So that's the first thing. If you decide you want to become a mortgage loan originator, it's different in every state. When I first became a mortgage loan originator, I worked for M&T Bank, and I did not need to get a license because M&T had their own license and I was under their wing. A lot of the bigger banks, that's kind of how they work. You don't necessarily have to get your own individual license because they have their own and you work under them.
Yeah, so technically you're just being trained by them and doing what they approve or not approve. So that's
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
So when I got away from that, I decided to get my mortgage loan originator license. So now every state is different. So depending on what state you live in, you have to check out the different state requirements. I'm in PA and Maryland, but I got my PA license first. And with PA, you need to do 20 hours of classes, and they're online.
Okay.
So you have to do the 20 hours, and after the 20 hours is over, that is when you take your NMLS exam. And with PA, you have to score 75% or higher, and then you get once you do that, that's when you can actually apply for the NMLS number, because every loan officer who has their own license has an NMLS number. Gotcha. And so, but with that being said, I didn't pass my first time.
Not everybody's a good test taker. It doesn't mean you don't.
I'm not. And I literally, and there are sample tests to take, and I scored very well on all those tests. And now I took the test over and over and over again to prepare myself for the big test.
Yeah.
But I failed. I don't remember what my failing grade was. It was just under the 75%. And but I had to wait 30 days. So I think you can do that 3 times. You have to wait 30 days before you can retake it. And then I believe if you fail it a third time, you have to wait longer, like 6 months or something. Like there's a time period.
Gotcha.
But once you pass, then you have to apply for your NMLS number. And then so each loan originator gets an MLS number, and that needs to appear on any marketing that you do, just like you have your license number to be a realtor.
Yeah.
And at that time, that's when they do the background check. You get your fingerprinting done for background check to make sure There is no criminal activity that you ever were part of, because if you were, then you would not qualify to be a mortgage loan originator.
Mm-hmm.
So once you complete that application, you get your NMLS number. The other piece of this is so I work for a lender, and my branch has what's called a surety bond. And the surety bond has to be $100,000. If I didn't work for a lender who had a branch in PA, I would have to personally get that surety bond. But because I work for Fairway and my previous company, Sierra, they had that surety bond. So I worked for them. I didn't have to personally get the surety bond. They took care of getting that.
Gotcha.
So I don't have to have that, but that's part of compliance and being compliant to be a mortgage loan originator. So with that being said, you have to continue education. They call it CE classes. And I also have and you have to take them every year. So every year there's an 8-hour class.
So it's every year that you have to take you know how many hours you have to take?
Yes, 8 hours.
8 hours.
8 hours for the mortgage originator stuff. And then you also have to take a federal one, and that's 3 hours, I believe. But each state that you're licensed in, you have to retake that too, and that's 1 hour. So I'm also licensed in Maryland, and when I took the class to get the Maryland license, it was very simple. Now again, every state's different, and I think I had to take a 3-hour class to get my Maryland license, and I'm not even sure if I think I had to take a test, but I think just doing the education was enough. But it was very easy to get another license in a different state. And obviously you do have to pay for it. And they're not expensive. And you do have to pay for your continuing education too. And it's usually a couple $100. It's not anything that's going to break the bank. Yeah. So that's pretty much what's involved with becoming a mortgage loan originator. Over the years, things have changed, so it's good to keep up with this continuing education because things change all the time.
Well, they sure do.
Yes. So even from the time I worked at M&T Bank compared to when I had to actually get a license, a lot changed because I worked for M&T in 2003, and I worked for M&T till 2014, and a lot has changed since then.
Yeah.
My license.
Yeah. So could you give us like a very high level overview of what it is to be a loan officer and what's your role in the real estate industry as a whole?
So my role is I'm the one who is funding your home. I'm your lender, but it's also, for me, it's a relationship. Mm-hmm. So I build, relationships with my realtors, my advisors, just people in the market anywhere, family, friends, everything. But the high level piece of it is it's a relationship. Like, yes, I'm your lender, but I'm also your friend. And I want you to always feel like you can reach out to me with questions at any time.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
It's simple water.
So that's what I would say. Does that answer your question? Like high level?
Yeah, just a high level overview of what it is to be a loan officer. What do you do? What is your role?
So another piece of that is knowing your products. I feel like that's super important. And I'm still learning all of Fairway's products. So I have to apologize to a lot of my new borrowers because I'm still learning Fairway's products in our processes, and because I'm new to Fairway since February, and I thought I would be over my hump, but I'm not.
It takes time. It's a lot to take in at once.
But yes, it's knowing the products because everybody's situation is different, and I think on a high level as a loan officer, you need to know what you're offering your customers, and to be able to explain that to them and give them the education on it. So they're not always going to know everything, but that's what we're here for.
Okay. What are some skills that you think someone that is looking to become a loan officer potentially, what are some skills that are really important or people should have in order to be a loan officer?
I would say discipline is a big one. Being able to manage your day, because there are days when I think that I'm going to get my list of things done, and it usually doesn't happen. But it's good to have a plan, whether it's your day or your week, and to be more disciplined about that. Be disciplined about your network and people, being in front of your people that you, like you and I, we talk every week, every week, every day, sometimes, depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
And just being part of being able to talk about it and be comfortable talking about it. And that's part of being part of different networking groups. When I go to them, usually we do our 30-second commercial. I try to stay within 30 seconds. Sometimes it's not easy to do that.
No, it's not.
But being able
to teach that person.
Yes, and being able to talk about it so that people will feel comfortable sending people to you. I think that's a skill it's hard. Like, if you don't know the person, it's hard to be like, are they going to feel comfortable sending me people to purchase a house? I don't know, but you have to hopefully get that comfort level with people, and
you have to be very personable, right? Like, gain trust.
It is.
In conversations and relationships. I think that's huge.
Yeah. Being able to build those relationships, I think, is huge.
And we both know that communication in this industry is crucial.
Yes.
So being disciplined, like you said.
Person.
Yeah. So being disciplined, being a good communicator, and a personable person, like actually establishing good, healthy relationships with others. I think that's
it's a big
thing. Yeah. Okay. So what would you say is a typical workflow of a loan officer on a day-to-day when you're working with clients? What is your day like?
So usually I start my day with looking at my calendar, make sure if I have any appointments, that I make sure if I'm doing any kind of applications or anything like that, that I see what my day is like, who I need to reach out to, who I need to follow up with. And I look at it daily, but I also look at it weekly, just to see what my week looks like, because I'll have appointments throughout the week. Because if I have an application coming, or say I have an appointment with a customer that I'm doing a pre-approval with at Fairway, one of the things that I'm trying to do ahead of time is letting people know that I'm going to need your documents. I'm going to need your W-2s, your pay stubs, your bank statements, so that I can do an official pre-approval. But with that, we can also do an actual approval, because the approval and your driver's license. That's a new thing. We didn't need that at Sierra, but we need that at Fairway. And I'm trying to make my customers aware that that's what they need. So going forward with my customers, when I set up those appointments now, making sure they have those documents, just because I know that I need them. And it's sometimes really hard to get them. So that's, I think, and part of that is being disciplined, in doing that stuff. And making sure that I'm doing it regularly, if that makes sense. So when I plan my week, sometimes I try to plan my months and my quarters to make sure that I'm reaching out to certain people at certain times of the year. So my advisors, I'm not reaching out to them weekly, but I tend to reach out to them monthly or quarterly, or I'll look back in my calendar to see when the last time we spoke, and I'll schedule a lunch or a breakfast or a coffee to talk with them. Gotcha. So that's kind of it's like planning your week. It doesn't usually never goes as planned, but it's good to have a plan.
Yeah. Now, I would just say that would be like your day-to-day as a whole. What would you say your specific tasks would be, without getting too much detail, but your specific tasks when you are actually working with a client from beginning to end? So they're under contract and you're helping them buy a house.
Like somebody actually that's under contract?
Yeah. What would you say like your more common tasks are throughout the process?
So as soon as they get under contract, that's when I reach out to them and I schedule a time to talk to go over the next steps. And because the next steps are going to be getting their application disclosed to them, which could take a couple days because we already have all their documents. Mm-hmm. So getting it disclosed through our team, I have a loan officer assistant with each file, and they take care of getting it opened and then getting it to the disclosure desk. And that's when I decide, locking in the rate, making sure they get their initial disclosures e-signed. And I always schedule a call with them to go over it, and I always send a follow-up email. Here is what the next steps are. Even though we just went over it, I like to have it in writing too. Yeah. So I also let them know who their title company is going to be, who will be doing settlement, and a little bit that's involved with that, as well as their homeowner's insurance. And, I have a couple people that I refer when I work with you. It's always Bill.
Yeah.
But I do have a couple other contacts. If somebody is with State Farm, I have a State Farm agent. If they don't already have an agent, but usually if they're with State Farm, they have an agent, but every now and then they don't. So then I would refer them to her. And then, so that's like the start of it. And then obviously we order the appraisal comes in. I also reach out to the listing agent, keep them in the loop. Hey, I'm the loan officer in the file. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. Please ignore my dog that's barking.
I just heard a little one.
I let them know once the appraisal comes in, like I will let you know, but I also let them know, hey, it has come in at value, or if it comes in subject to. And then we get, once we get the homeowner's appraisal comes in and the file gets clear to close, I let you and them know, and the borrower know it's clear to close, and we get ready for settlement. And, your initial disclosure comes out. And I let the borrower know in my initial email that initial disclosure is going to come out. Those numbers are not your final numbers. They will always change because
there's a lot that goes through it throughout the process.
Correct. Because the settlement company still needs to add, subtract, and do whatever with their fees. And then, we will have your final disclosure a day or two before settlement. And that's when you get your certified check or you do the wire. So that's pretty much the process and is summed up with the borrowers.
Nice. That's pretty cool to see your perspective on that process.
Yes, and I try to keep, so when I email you, I'm just going to use you as an example. I'm also reaching out to your listing agent too, being like, hey, here I am. You can talk to me, call me. And they do reach out, and sometimes some will just say thank you, but some will reach out and talk to me, but I will also reach out to them if need be when it comes to inspections and whatnot. But yeah, so I'm always keeping in contact with the listing agent on the back end.
Okay. So I know there's a lot of things that change every day in our industry, especially. There's always revolving new laws, new policies. So what do the loan officers do to stay up to date with this changing of regulations and policies within the industry?
Well, usually it's trial by error. In my case, that seems to be what happens. However, you just never know until you ask the questions. Or, for example, I can use one of our loans we have right now with single wide homes. So I know that Fannie Mae, our conventional loan carrier, they do accept single wides as long as if it's on a permanent foundation and we have the engineer cert. However, if the property is modified, we definitely need to have the engineer cert done. Let me rephrase myself. Fannie accepts an appraiser and their requirements to show that the property is sound. It's the structural engineering piece of it. However, if it was altered, like an addition, or maybe a garage was attached, which I guess that would be an addition too. If there's ever any kind of alterations to the property, then we need to have that engineer cert done, unless it was done when the permits were done for the property. Gotcha. So that was a new thing that came up, and like I said, sometimes it's trial by error. You don't know, because everybody's situation is different.
Unique situations are going to arise, right? I feel like it's the same with real estate on the realtor side. We sometimes run into very particular or specific scenarios where you never had to deal with before, and you're digging into what is the guidelines and policies into this. And that's our job, is to do that research and find out, to be able to better serve our clients, on both sides, on the realtor side and the lender side. There's a lot of digging and trying to find the correct alternative or the right way to do the things to solve that issue. And we have issues every day, right?
I mean, it's just the way of the real estate market. And
it's just how it is.
Most products, a loan officer knows the basics, what the debt to income ratio needs to be, what the credit score needs to be, just different things we need to know. But then there's times where you have to look outside the box. Like with VA loans, you can't go above 41% on the DTI. Like it's a hard it's a hard stop. So there's a couple things that are hard stops where you have to look at other products to see where they fit in.
For a specific person. So in regards of like real estate trends, the industry shifting, we have a lot of that happening in the last 2 years. Does your company do like meetings to kind of review and go over what's changing, what's trending? Is that something that you guys do as well, or how does that work?
Yes. So we have a weekly meeting every week. The branch manager, it's actually today at 1. It's usually at 1:15. So yes, we do, whether it's day-to-day stuff that changes within Fairway, we do have meetings like that. We also have a Friday meeting that the president and like everybody at Fairway is invited. It's like sometimes they're an hour, sometimes they're half an hour, depending on what's going on. On Friday, it was only half an hour. It was, I think just getting ready for the long weekend. But we also have people come in. Our last one was Barry Habib, and he is this big market guy that has worked for many, many important people that I don't remember like his full background, but he's a pretty important guy that I've seen a couple interviews with him, so they keep us up with the market. And when he spoke the last time, they were predicting rates were going to start going down in May, but that hasn't happened yet. We're at May 30th. So they are still predicting that rates are going to go down.
I hope so.
We just don't know when. And when they go down, they're not going to go down to 2s and 3s.
Oh, no.
They're going down to the 5s, which are good right now. A 5% interest rate is a good interest rate right now. So after that happened, like the May 10th was the date, but May 10th has come and gone, and we have not seen rates go down.
The 5s,
So we do get market updates all the time. And every company I've worked for, we've had weekly meetings like this, or monthly, or bi-weekly meetings, and we've also had market updates with all of the companies I've worked for. So that's, they always bring in, other people to give us an overview of it. So we are definitely kept up to date with the market all the time.
That's awesome. That's good. That's important, right? So in your experience, throughout the many years that you've been in the industry. How do you think, or how would you say the technology has changed the way you work or do your work in the loan officer, or even before when you were with the bank? How do you think that has impacted in a good or bad way, and how does it change your dynamic with clients?
Well, it definitely over the years has gotten better. The loan officer systems we used to use, 20 some years ago have definitely gotten tremendously better. They're now internet based. We used to have this system. It was a Calyx system, and it was not internet based, but that's where we put our applications in. Then we would take the application and upload it into a system. But now everything is like online. It's not wet signatures. It's e-signatures. There are a few forms that still need a wet signature, but they are very far and few between. It has to do with, I think, your Social Security disclosure form. They need to be wet signatures. But even with that, you can sign it, take a picture of it, and upload it. It's not, you don't have to mail it to me. Now, we do have where if you don't sign your disclosures within 3 days, we do have to mail them out to you, which we don't want to do. So we highly, highly, highly encourage them to get signed immediately, which is what I also, like when I get a contract and I talk to my borrowers, I tell them as soon as you get this disclosure, you need to sign it, like immediately. Yeah. And I also put it in my email, so they not only verbally hear it from me, but I put it in writing. So the loan systems have definitely gotten much better over the years and faster. Even closing, we can do e-closings, which, like, usually our closings aren't as long as they used to be.
Yeah.
But they're still half an hour, 45 minutes. But if with an e-disclosure, they actually e-sign part of the documents in the morning. Yeah. Which Leslie does do, by the way.
Yes, she does. So and packages are much, much smaller now because of it too, which is awesome.
Yep. So then at settlement, there's still a couple things that they have to actually wet sign, but I think it's over in 15 minutes, maybe. The last one I was at was 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, it wasn't long at all.
Not like the whole hour like it used to be, those ginormous packets. I have to stop telling my clients, hey, you need to rest your wrist, because there's not really that much more to sign anymore. So it's definitely a big difference on that. And I feel like Pennsylvania, not yet, but we do have a lot of states that are actually doing settlements fully virtually. So you don't actually have to sit down in some states. I know Pennsylvania still requires, actually it's not Pennsylvania, it's the banks that still require in Pennsylvania that I am aware. They still require a lot of paperwork to be wet signed. But that's changing. There's a lot less, only a few of the documents are still required. Different banks are different as well in what they require not to be signed.
Yeah, and I mean, I get some people, it's hard because there's so much fraud these days. So you just have to be super
very
cautious when it comes to it. Yeah. But that's part of our training and our continued education. Fraud is always part of it. Yeah. We talk about it all the time. It's a thing, unfortunately.
It's a prominent thing, yeah. Unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So last question. Okay. For anybody out there that would like to be a loan officer, what would be an advice you can give to them, and a tip, moving forward?
I would say if you're thinking about becoming a loan officer, talk to a loan officer. Talk to somebody who has been in the industry for years. Now everybody's had different experiences over the years, but for the most part, and every loan officer works differently. Yeah. But it's good to talk to somebody who has been a loan officer. I love working with numbers. I love working with people. If you're a people person, it's good. But if you're not a people person, maybe you just want to work for a bank and maybe they feed you leads. I don't know. But in my business, I have to go get my customers.
You have to find them, right? You have to locate them.
Handed to me.
Yeah.
And the biggest tip is education. It's know your business, know your customers, know your products, know your processes, your company. Every realtor I work with is very different. It is a people person job, whether you're behind the screen or not.
Yeah.
But I would say if you ever think it's something you want to get into because you like working with numbers and you like working with people and all this stuff and houses and everything, I would talk to somebody who has been a loan officer. That would be my biggest thing. My biggest tip would be education, education and educating your customers.
Yeah, no, that's great. I feel like you said, it's education, knowing your products, knowing what you're doing, knowing your thing, and then also relationships. Because I feel like that's huge. That's great in any side of the business, really.
Yeah, it really is.
You just have to establish really good connections, really good relationships that will also help you grow your business, especially when you're a loan officer, getting to know good agents to partner with, so you can refer to each other and grow the business.
Because I will have many situations, like with customers that I work with you, they ask me realtor questions, and I'm like, you're gonna have to talk to Nini. I am always have an outlet for them. If I can't answer you, but I know it's something that you can answer, I'll be like, she will know, and vice versa. I know you do the same thing. When it comes to products, and if they ask you questions about it, you're going to refer them back to me because you're not going to know everything that I know.
Yeah, exactly. It is a partnership for sure. It is a teamwork, and we are working together in order to help, our clients. And so understanding that if you do want to become a loan officer, you're just going to understand that it's not a one-man show. You cannot possibly do everything alone. You will be working with other people. And you got to feel comfortable with that, because the better you work with others, the better relationships you create, the more successful you will be, for sure, and the easier you're going to grow.
Yep, it's good to have a good team.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so anything else you want to leave it to everybody watching today?
I don't think so. If anybody's watching and they are considering becoming a loan officer, you can reach out to me. I'm available. My information's going along the bottom. You can email me, call me, text me. I'd be more than happy to answer questions. So.
And that's it, guys. So this was a good one. I'm so glad that we got to talk to our co-host and understand a little bit more in the behind the scenes of what it is to be a loan officer. And I am sure that she would be happy to help you with any of you guys that are considering, or if you're just actually looking to buy a home too. Of course, she would be there for you. So thank you so much, Kelly, for spending the time today, telling us a little bit more about your career. So that's awesome. All right, guys, so have a great day, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully we can stick to Mondays. We're not sure yet, because it's been a little, we're being changed. So
it's summertime too, so.
Summertime, yeah. Working with vacation schedules, clients, you name it. So we'll let you guys know when we're live again, and next time I will be the one getting interviewed by Kelly, and I'll be telling you my side of the story and how it is to be a realtor, how can you become a realtor, and all that. So stay tuned for that. Alrighty, have a good one.
Right.
Thank you, Kelly. Bye.